Hi everybody and welcome to this week's Dollar Index Market Update. You're speaking with Nick McDonald. On the screen we have the DX contract and it's a monthly chart. We're halfway through the month right now and by all accounts this is starting to look like a strong bounce off support. Notice that as we've formed three equal lows here, that the indicators have actually made three higher lows. So where price has made three equal lows across that flat line, the MACD here has made three higher lows and so has the RSI. This is a strong bullish sign as well, that when indicators are pushing up and price is sideways, that price is likely to push up as well. So on a monthly basis, in a bigger picture view there, as long as we remain above 75, it's looking quite strong. Now last week, if we come to a daily chart, last week I actually expected price to come off this resistance at 77 and move down and retest that level and retest it with a little bit more volume rather than just on a spike. It seems the market was quite satisfied with that lower test of 7,500 and has now come back up and is testing up around the 78 resistance area. If we look at this on a weekly chart, you can see just how strong this resistance area is. Been talking about it for a long time, and notice as well that as much as we've talked about it, the market just keeps on being drawn to it, and we've had many bounces off it, many touches of it, many rejections of it, and literally last week we closed just above it, virtually right on that level. So that makes it very interesting, and we've got to look at this now and think what will happen, and what are the scenarios that could give us long or short trades or bullish or bearish biases here. So there's the DX. We're going to come back and wrap things up with that, but let's just have a quick look at some of the major trading partners. Let's have a look at dollar CAD first of all. And dollar CAD has been in this range, and if we look at it on a weekly chart, we're at some major support here, but it's much more of a range trading pair, whereas most of the others have been trending. So here we're ranging, and we're at the bottom of the range. Now we've got a bullish weekly candle there. If we can break up through the high of last week's candle, literally let's draw a line, so if we can break up through the high of last week's candle, that's a good positive indication of a move, pushing back up towards the top of the range. So there on dollar CAD we have the dollar looking slightly bullish. Let's have a look at euro dollar. And what will happen on euro dollar, we've got this big level. A lot of them have got these big levels we've identified, and we've talked about this one here on euro dollar for the last few weeks, and it's the 1.4 level. And you'll see multiple tests here on the same flat level, support and resistance at the same flat level of 1.4. And look at now how many times we've rejected. We've been right up above it and we've just continued to reject. Now we've broken down below it. So as far as resistance goes, that 1.4 is looking like price has very much failed to get through this. It's looking really strong. But equally, there's a little bit contradictory evidence here because we're also uptrending. And all we've done is we've had a nice, made a higher high, we've pulled back into the moving averages, which is a good healthy pullback, especially a pullback into the averages on a weekly chart, sign of a good healthy pullback and ready for the next push up. So there's some contradictory evidence there. There's resistance in the way, but the chart is uptrending and in that case looking likely to continue until we see the trend showing otherwise. Quick look at cable because it's a slightly different story. Cable had its big figure of 1.6 and on cable we've actually managed to stay above that level. So here what you'll see is that we broke up through 1.6. Let's just maximize this weekly chart and have a look. You can see all the tests of 1.6. We broke up through it. And what's interesting though here is we came back and we tested it. See how we pulled back into the averages again there. Came back in, tested it, and now we've broken up. We came down, had a bearish day, and then we've rallied up and closed higher again. So cable, as well as also just looking at the weekly chart, pulled back almost back to the averages, still continuing in its uptrend. Does have some resistance above, but again it's in an uptrend. Coming and just looking at one more, let's look at dollar yen before coming back to the dollar index. And dollar yen has been, there was stuck in this kind of 4-hour range if we come down to lower time frames. One of the reasons I hadn't looked at this as much as it was in this range the week before, we've now broken up out of there. And if we just come and have a look at the higher time frames, you'll see, remember I said this is a good healthy pullback. We come down, we pull back to the averages. We come down, we pull back to the averages. So we've had a good healthy pullback there, and actually still in a strong downtrend, so still showing dollar weakness there. If we just come and have a look at this daily chart for a second, this was the day Japanese central bank intervened, and very obviously they may have been buying since, but certainly there was some real intervention here, buying dollars, selling yen. And we had a big move up, and everybody thought, wow, what a huge day. We just continued back in the trend. Now we've had this other move up. Now it just happened over a number of days rather than one day. But notice what happened on both occasions. Even back here, this is the weekly chart, comparing the two. Even back here, what was looking like a huge move on a daily chart was just a sensible pullback on the weekly. We've had a good run up last week, but just a sensible pullback on the weekly. So where does this leave us, and where does this put the likely direction for the dollar index for the week? What it's really saying is that we've had a sensible pullback. So let's have another look at this weekly chart. we've come down very much like euro dollar. We've got support at this lower point in this case. So we've got support in the way, stopping price from going lower and helping to stop price from going too low. But equally, we're downtrending. We've got a good strong downward momentum, and we've just had a healthy pullback into the weekly sell zone. That is the weekly moving averages. We're also at this major resistance. So let's just go back to the weekly and zoom out. This upper blue line, we're at that level. So now this is the key turning point, and we've got to say, which way is the market most likely to go? The early days this week are actually going to set the pace. This could be now a break up through these levels, and I'm watching this daily level really closely, around about 78.50. If we can get up and hold through there, even just for one daily close, it's going to be looking quite bullish. And then I'd be expecting the price to actually be looking for more of a monthly pullback, back up into the monthly moving averages, maybe even further. So starting to look for dollar bullish signs. Haven't seen the change of trend here yet. We're still making lower highs and lower lows. So in the short term, it's very hard to say this is a confirmed change of trend, but that's the first thing we need to see. We need to see a push up through there, a pullback, probably a higher low before a continuation. In the meantime, until resistance is broken, the best thing to do is to expect it not to be. Trading is about probabilities. So we've got this upper resistance level. If that is not broken and is not held, or is strongly rejected and price turns very bearish above that level, then I'll be looking for the price to come back down and test the lower region of this weekly and monthly support levels, coming down back around the 75 to 75.50 levels, and looking to see probably hold those levels again unless the market turns particularly bearish down there. So we are potentially in a little bit of a range for now, looking either for a move back towards the bottom of the range or continuation in the weekly chart pullback if we can break up and hold through the 78.50 level. Hope that helps all. Have a great week's trading. Speak to you next week.